Evening, everybody. It is 6:32 on this Thursday evening, and I know it's late, but I had my annual physical this afternoon. Okay, so we had a lot of information here today and carryover from yesterday, and we have even more tomorrow. So let's get started on today's. We had the ADP numbers, which came in stronger than expected, and we had the claims numbers, which also came in stronger than expected, both on initial claims and continuing claims. The problem with that is, although it's considered to be a good labor market, which is good for the economy, but it's not good for people who are looking for the aggressive rate cut outlook that people want to see. I know that after the numbers came out, however they judge it, the Fed funds rate or whatever, both saw a decline in the the March rate cut, and also in the June or July rate cut. So I think that's a little bit more reasonable, but that's just me. Okay, so the market was up over 300 and finished up $10.15. This is the problem when you have a couple of problems and very narrow leadership. Um, so the Dow was up less than 0.4%. The Nasdaq continued lower on the weakness in those stocks, although in both the advanced declines were pretty even. It was 14 to 13 on the NYSE and 11 to 10 on the Nasdaq, both to the downside. Volume also decreased to 5.3 from yesterday's 5.8 billion shares traded. Nasdaq was the biggest loser, and coming in right after that was the S&P, down 1613 or 0.34. The Russell was a little changed at down $1.47 or 0.8%. And same thing with the transports, single digit, 6.39%, 0.04. So that pretty much looks like it. But here's the issue. Apple is down for 4 days in a row. For 4 days in a row, it's made a new low every single day. Today being down as low as 180 and 88 cents. This is definitely, even though Microsoft was down, this is definitely a margin play in that Apple's margins are declining, but Microsoft's margins, because they're software and don't really have a cost of goods sold once you've developed them, their margins are dramatically better. So I look for a shift for Apple to give up its biggest company in the world status over to Microsoft, and maybe not by a small amount. So the Apple was 181.88, down $2.39 or 1.8%. And by the way, the loss there since the high last week is just short of 7%. Microsoft got as high as 375. Looks like it closed around 368.19, down 245 after being substantially higher. JP Morgan, another new all-time high, 173.35. And even though it closed up 65 cents, it was not a new closing high. Eli Lilly, which went from up 10 on the excitement this morning to close down 7, is going direct to consumer, and cutting out the middleman, which everybody thinks is a good idea for them for margins. And Walgreens Boots WBA. This company has just gotten massacred over the last 18 months, but they came out today with a beat on earnings and revenue, but they also cut their dividend by 48%. Now, this stock 3 days ago was 27.05. It closed yesterday 25.57, and then today was down as low as 22.58 with a closing of 24.20, and that's down $1.37 or another 5.4%. The bonds were down pretty much across the board. The 10-year, which traded as low as 178 and change the other day. And when I say the other day, I mean earlier this week, traded down to 378. Looks like it closed right on 4%. Again, these are not penny stocks. These are actually important pieces of our economy, and to see them move this way is somewhat distressing. Of my sectors, there were six up and seven down. And let's take a look at what the commodities did. Uh, Wheat up pretty much. The only one that was up of any substance. Soybeans were down, corn was down, oats was down. So the wheat is kind of standing out. It got right down to the area that I said when I bought WEAT, right down to the area where I said if it closed down there, I'd have to be out of it. Well, it got all the way down there, and then it turned on a dime and closed on the high. So we'll have to see whether or not it can get through this 620, 625 area. If it can, then maybe we have, another extension to the upside. The relative strength certainly looks good. It's not oversold down here, but it also is below the zero line and turning up. That line, by the way, is 50, not zero. The oil, again, all over the place. It was as high as 74 and got down to 70 and change and closed 72.19, down 51, currently up 14 cents tonight. Nat gas was a big winner, up 15 cents, and uh, it tonight is up another penny. Um, the best way to watch the nat gas is UNG. It's not a leveraged ETF, it's just a one to one. And in the last 10 days, while this has been firming a bit, it's gone from $4.50 to close today at 5.75. Um, you know, Again, let's look at the percentages. That's a hell of a move. If we come back and do some backing and filling, it could support a move much higher. The gold was up, silver was up, and they're unchanged and slightly higher right now. Um, Bitcoin, again, all over the place, was up 1550 on the day. Let's see what it's doing tonight. I actually really like doing this a little later because it lets me see what's going on after the fact. So uh, the Bitcoin was 44,630, up 1550. It's now up another 165. Ethereum up substantially less, but up nonetheless. The dollar, with interest rates moving higher again, was actually down 6 cents, so not much there after yesterday's almost 80-cent move back to the upside. And the bonds, which were down 1 5/8, that's 1 and 20 30 seconds, are down another 5 30 seconds tonight. So, all right, folks, tomorrow's the big kahuna, the big Non-farm payroll number, uh, the unemployment rate, non-farm private payrolls, average hourly work week, and earnings. Those are all at 8:30. At 10 o'clock, we have November factory orders and the December ISM non-manufacturing index, which is expected to be exactly unchanged at 52.5. Have a good evening, folks.